Kajing ai buram ka bashisha na kabenta ulet PA Sangma, kalong banbut ikdin jat bat yakiru kom perkhat ki jong u, kata banbut shua yala ka jong kari bat yakinong shong hakmat Ong Menteri Rangba ka jela u Conrad Sangma, haba ajing kren haka 7th PA Sangma Memorial Lecture, Shibentah jong ka jingrakhe ya ka lyngkhuh sngi ka ban nyopun riu snem jong u PA Sangma ya ka balakhat penlong da ka nehu tura campus, bat ka PA Sangma Foundation hapo District Auditorium, tura mentak sngi thok dieng. CM ula Kyntu yaki paj ba bakin bot yaki dienjat ukpa jong u da ka baong le se udei uwe na kiriu kraw bat ubakam pau kmat na kani ka than chate lamingi kat hadu menta. Hakani ka jingalang lawan yashim bentalang ru da journalist bat editor in chief ba pau kmat Shekhar Gupta kum unong ajing kren bakerpang. Ulit PA Sangma udai uno hikai ber uno yalam bashisha ubala hikai ber petin lenti yang ikikun. Ban penti kena barabor baka ka bangi le haka jingim kata khamtam hakikam sanhima sima kadai bangin pai kmat shua ningkong syakipat ba bat ban penti kena ba man ki chingshim rai ki bangi shim kadai ban long ka babha na ka benta ki pai ba ka jela bat jong kari ong UCM. Nalor kata ula ong ru ba PA Sangma ubadai ru ulam phang barim jong ka Lok Sabha udai ubre ubalayo ya ka jing jong pai ba habangi phai shakine ki maunong rim ngi pe ya ka ne ka auditorium ka bala tei house nam khat khandai spa prapupra hi kan mau badai ma u ubalapan urlong ya ka ne Henry ka ka jing ya pher halor ki nong rim bat ki jing perkhat ki ba ulaya sambat ngi kin yai sa junom bat ki ne le se ki dei ki jing no snyang ki ba shisha ki ba ula no snyang shisha hakinong shong ki jongi ong u Conrad Sangma. Haba Kyntu khamtam ki samla bakin pule bnia halor ka jing jong u PA Sangma lengba ki jing hikai bar ki rukom perkhat ki jong u UCM ula ong ba ka jing ai burom ba kraw na ka benta jong u kadai ka jing kan mau ye u bar kalenti ban kan mau ye u kalong ban ya ki din jat jong u kata kalenti ban jala ki jong ki breu kalenti ban penne ya ki nong rim ki jong u badru ban kan mau ban bu shwa ya kari bar ki nong shong hakmat
Small advices given by late PA Sangma, which, as I said, sounded like a lecture to me when I was 19 years old, 20 years old, 21 years old. But today, I look back and I write down those 10, 15, 20 things that I could remember that he told me. And these two just strike out because it helps me almost every day in the work that I do, which is that decisions are important, but when and how you implement them is equally important. And the problem is that we sometimes look at results and think that that is the problem. The outcome is the problem, whereas the problem actually is somewhere else. And I'm sure many of us have learned small things like these from late PA Sangma, a man who is far beyond what meets the eye. And we just read about what he did. We look at one or two of the foundation stones. We see this auditorium built by him in 1988. And we remember, oh yes, Mr. PA Sangma built this. Those are just infrastructures or certain parts of what he built. But it is the different values, the different kind of principles, the different kind of thoughts that he had shared with us, which will continue to live on and go on even beyond his lifetime and beyond our lifetime also. These ideas that he brought in.
Karbana kaliang Shekhar Gupta haka jingkran ulapan pau ba PA Sangma ula leit kloino bat ba kidang don shibon ki badang dei banle nakabenta kinong shong riulum jongkari India. Ulapan pau ru halor ka jing shisha ba % na kinong shong jongkari India ki dei ki riulum kata ki badan kumbak chipo hadu khatwei kelur kabamot baka India kadai ka badon bun gitrais nong riulum haka perthai baro kawai. Henry ompat syam ladon iwe ru kinoyalam trais nong kiban long kinoyalam hapo kari bat kiban mikma ya kasur jong kini kinong shong kibasak yang hakeleng kari kani kadai ka benta ka bau PA Sangma ula ino namar ukiu sya kabakum kani kekerdan bar ya ubalayo i kumunoyalam jong kipai riulum Obami khmat na kabenta barok ki trais nong riulum jong ke India.
Purno Sangma. Purno Sangma, one, he left too early. He left too early. He'd be 76 now, which means really left early. He had a lot left to do because India has 8% 8% of India is tribal, which means India has by far the largest tribal community in the world. 8% means nearly 11 crore, 10 crore tribals. But tribals, by their very definition, because each tribe is distinctive, there are many tribes. There are many tribes. There are tribes in the northeast. There are tribes in larger tribal population in east central India, that is Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, and then there are tribal communities in other parts of the country. We've never really had national tribal leaders because usually tribal leaders end up being leaders of their own tribes. They don't become leaders of the tribal community, speaking for the tribal cause, tribal point of view across the country. There have been very few like that. And Purno Sangma had risen to that stature, and he was rising in that stature. I thought, given the fact that he was very young, I thought, oh, finally, India has a pan-national tribal leader. And he's a pan-national tribal leader who will also find a following among tribals of East Central India. That is where right now you have a lot of dissatisfaction, economic distress. There is economic distress everywhere, but East Central India in particular, that's where you have Naxalism. But tribal, and they have tribal leaders there, but a national level tribal leader is still lacking. And that is the gap that Purno Sangma left behind. Had he been around, this is no age. I mean, next year in America, if Trump wins his nomination, which he likely will, 2 80-year-olds will be fighting to be presidents of America. So age, the definition of age has now been changed. So Purno Sangma would have been a very active, very powerful, mainstream pan-national politician. Because none of us saw him as a leader from the Northeast or as a leader of one tribe, leader of Garos of the Northeast. And I believe, and I do believe, I have good reasons to believe that even in Meghalaya, other tribes, Khasis, Jaintias, they did not see him only as a Garo leader. To that extent, his passing away was also a loss to India, India's tribal community, but also to India. Second regret is a 2-in-1, that Purno Sangma did not become President of India. Because at a time when he contested, it is tragic that everybody didn't agree on him getting the presidency. And one of the reasons that did not happen was the internal politics then of Congress party, because Mr. Pranab Mukherjee had his own issues with his party high command. I think he would have wanted to be Prime Minister several times in the past, including in 1984. It didn't happen many times, so he really wanted to be president now. And he was a preeminent figure in the Congress party. I will not go into that. I would have wished if Congress party had agreed also in 2012 to unanimously accept Purno Sangma as India's president. I said it's a 2-in-1 regret because if he had become president, he would have become India's first tribal president. So we welcome the fact that India has its first tribal president now in Draupadi Murmu, president. So that's a very good thing. But this is something that could have happened much earlier. And so that's a second regret.